Alrighty, what is up, guys? Evan Aldo here. Welcome back. I want to talk about Bitcoin, Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum, the DXY, Coinbase today, total 2 and total 3. Got a lot to talk about. It does look like we're in a breakout. Most likely we'll break out pretty soon. It could be within the next 24 or 48 hours here. So if you enjoy the content, leave a like. Let's get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about here, guys, is on Bitcoin on the 2 week here, we're now getting the red dot in market side for the momentum wave. Now, no, it's not as high as this one was back here, but you still have the VWAP coming down while money flow, is crossing into the red from green and getting deeper. This would look, kind of at the level of what we saw right before the pandemic crash right here. Now, I think if we are going to get kind of a black swan, maybe it probably would happen within the next few months, sometime over the summer here. I mean, highly unlikely the U.S. would default on their debt, but I mean, yeah, let's get creative with it. I mean, something could happen. We always know something could happen, and that would kind of explain it. It's probably not going to be like that. I think most likely you're going to see, you have this red dot here. This kind of signified that top of this 2019 rally, similar to kind of what we're seeing here. If this confirms in 13 days, it does take a little bit of time to confirm. If you compare it to that, that's 41% down now. This line that I drew right here is a prediction of kind of where the 400 weekly moving average would be at that point. So if we do look at the 400 weekly moving average here, right at this point, around 16, that would be a potential double bottom. Now, if you were to go down even lower, this is an estimate of where the 500 weekly would be. If you were to make a lower low, you would be looking at some of these areas, around 13 or something. If you look at the weekly here, obviously, gap to RSIs, I mean, this I would say looks worse. This right here looks worse than back here because they kind of came together. They weren't so gapped. You're very gapped with these RSIs. So, in all likelihood, it does seem like you would do something like this and come deep in the money flow again into the end of the year, potentially, and come down. And that's where you could see a potential bottom, especially if we go into a recession. Now, keep in mind, maybe traditional markets don't bottom out until sometime early next year in a recession, or maybe even middle of next year in a recession. Bitcoin normally bottoms out before traditional markets. It also normally tops out before traditional markets. So maybe it bottoms out in November, October, something like that, but traditional markets don't bottom out until a few months later. That's one big possibility here. Now let me go on my Coinbase chart where I have everything drawn out. Now the thing I'm looking at, and a lot of people are probably looking at this right now, we have a wedge right here, and we keep bouncing around the volume area low right here. So this is kind of a big volume area that we've bounced around in, and it does look like with the blood diamond here. I mean, if you look at how these have acted in this environment so far, that we would break down, and then you have your spiral line pocket right here at around 24. It would make a lot of sense to break down to that level. You guys know there's obviously going to be a lot of liquidation points around, high 24s. It's where I've seen it long enough. If you've been in this game long enough, there's going to be a lot of liquidations right below the big points like that. So that would bring us right to there. The wedge, I mean, if you do break out of that, you would come down there. I think it's more likely you would break downward. Number one, you got the 2-day coming into the red here. That would make it more likely, in my opinion, that you'd come deeper into the red and break downward. Also, if you look at, I believe it's the 3 hour now crossing back into the red here. So obviously all a game of probability, guys. And then we just finished the Bitcoin conference. Usually, as CryptoFace has been saying, well, I haven't really studied it too much, but usually it seems like after all these conferences, price always seems to go down. Kind of like a sell the news type thing, I guess you could say. And right now we're bouncing around. It doesn't mean too much, but it seems like you're gonna lose this level. And when you do break out, it could be a nice potential trade setup that I may take if we do break out of this stop loss kind of above some of these areas. And the way I do it, I'm a more conservative trader. I try to just get a 1.0 risk reward ratio, lock in profits right there, and try to write it down and then take more profits over here. All a game of probability. And if you guys want more info on that, I do a premium Discord. Me and two other really good traders, Crypto Bull Zone and Lanacore, are in my Discord, and we post a lot of updates there. I think it's a really good value. A lot of people have really liked it. So if you guys are interested, link down below. Obviously, nobody's right all the time. We'd be billionaires in a few weeks if we were, but I think we provide a lot of really good info in there that's helped a lot of people out. So check it out if you're interested. So yeah, I mean, if we look at those areas, then I just want to look at the low time frames here. You trigger wave on the 30. So right now it does seem like you're probably going to break down. Now, when would we probably break out of this, up one way or the other? Probably by tomorrow at some point. People are saying 24 hours. I think a lot of other people have been talking about the 24-hour area. Obviously anything could happen. It could go sideways longer. You could have fake outs, all that type of stuff. But it's seeming like we're getting to the point where you got to do something. And maybe some more news with the debt ceiling negotiations, that type of thing will break us one way or the other. Now let's move on to Ethereum here. And Ethereum, what I want to show you first, and this looks more similar to right here at the top of this rally in 2019. I mean, first you have the trend reversal sign, then you have the red dot, and you have money flow coming out. We have three of those things, and I would say it even looks, with all this curvature here, probably even looks slight with the VWAP coming down with money flow coming out at the same time. It looks slightly even worse this time. Look at that momentum wave, very similar in terms of height. This confirms in 2 days. I think this most likely would confirm and will, it would support that breakdown for Bitcoin. And, Bitcoin breaks down to 24. ETH could be at, 16, maybe even the 15s. We'll talk about that in just a second, some potential targets here. But, ultimately what I wanted to mention here where I circled, this is the time where I'm going to start DCAing into ETH, for this period, about 8 months here. And hopefully, what I'm kind of hoping for here is if I'm not going to count the pandemic in this, but that was a black swan. But what I'm hoping for is if we can make a lower low or something, maybe I'll start DC. Hopefully by the time it confirms in the red here, all this is played out. We have a crash in the next month or two over the summer. Could start DCAing maybe in June, July at 13, then keep gradually going in all the way down to, if we get down these Armageddon places that a lot of people get triggered by if you say it's possible to go down to 600, then DCA and hard there for that 8-month period, potentially until, March, April next year. And then that's the place where you could potentially get, if we go up to 8K, 6K, make a new all-time high. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll even go up to 10K. That would be incredible. I mean, a 15X, that's, there's some possibilities for life-changing wealth there if you know how to play your cards right. Obviously, not financial advice. Anything could happen here. But, I think there's a good shot at getting up to 8K or something there. So that's what we're looking at right there. Now, I want to just move down to some lower time frames here. I don't know. Let's look at this 7-day here. You came into the green a little bit, rejected pretty hard from that green right there. It's similar to this area, very gapped RSIs. Here, I would argue it's not slightly better here. Their RSIs are a little bit gapped, which would kind of tell me that you're going to see something like this, but probably not, something like this, but maybe not quite as bad. Maybe just a little bit of a lower low here, or maybe even a double bottom if we're lucky. If we do see a double bottom for Bitcoin at 16K, maybe seeing a double bottom for this. I don't know. I obviously don't have a crystal ball, but that's kind of what I'm looking at right here. At the end of the day, it doesn't really affect my strategy too much. It's just about having a strategy, a long-term strategy, and sticking to it. I think that's the most important thing in this game. So, yeah. And if we look at, let's just see here, the 2-day, you got the green dot here. Money flow is coming out a little bit conflicting. That would almost tell us that, price wants to go sideways based on this time frame. And then if you get here, obviously, I forgot to mention even on Bitcoin. Oh, yeah. The technical target for, I think I did mention, technical target for the wedge and kind of the head and shoulders. Well, technical target out of this wedge, same one I looked at Bitcoin, is around 16. There's some traffic right here. You probably hit some traffic right here. We got quite a few actual technical targets here. I mean, if you do a technical target, the volume area low is at the same. This is a big golden pocket. If you go from all-time high to some low areas, this is a big golden pocket right here that we seem to be, if we lose that, that's pretty bearish too. You break out of that, it's like a parallel channel as well. That's another technical target at 1580. And then if you look, if you look here out of this, I mean, it's a little subjective. I'm not the biggest traditional TA guy, but out of the neckline there, you get a technical target around 15. You got a spiral line right there. That's going to be a big point as well. So those are all big points to look at to potentially look to take profits if you're trying to short this market. So yeah, I mean, short-term 12-hour, you're going sideways. You're seeing trigger waves on both sides. It doesn't really tell us too much here. But if we get kind of into the wedge, I guess the same kind of wedge that we're looking at for, Bitcoin, and these trigger waves don't look half bad in the 8-hour, but in this environment, it's just too sideways, so it doesn't tell me too much. Let's try and reverse those, which keep giving us a little bit of something, and you're hitting the top of this wedge right now. It is interesting right there. Also, yeah, this point too. Now you're getting a bearish div, I believe. Yeah, it looks like you're getting a bearish div on the hourly printing right now. So we might start to reject from this point. If we reject from this point, break out of this, then it seems pretty likely you would come down to this area And then if you lose that area, things obviously get a lot more bearish. So yeah, if we're looking at that, that's what it looks like there. Also at this point, money flow a bit overheated coming down. So I would say most likely, I mean, anything could happen here. Let's talk about the bullish case just for a second. Sometimes I forget to talk about the bullish case. I just got just too bearish on ETH and all this stuff. But yeah, bullish case, maybe back up to these levels. Obviously 19, technical target up there. That'd be the bullish case. I'm thinking definitely leaning more for the bearish case right now. It's all a game of probability. Obviously, anything can happen now, guys. But yeah, let's move on to Bitcoin dominance a little bit. This is going to tell us when it's probably time to start DCAing into alts. Not there yet. So we have the red dot here. Similar to this would have been a pretty good time to start DCAing into alts. Obviously, they didn't bottom out on their Bitcoin pairs, a lot of alts right here, but they got close to the bottom on their Bitcoin pairs, around September. I believe Cardano and a few others here. The pandemic low, I believe, was where they really bottomed out on a lot of their Bitcoin pairs, which was right here or after the pandemic low in 2020. But I mean, if you were to DCA in for a bit, this would not have been, a bad time to kind of get in. I just want to do just quick, just was a little bit curious about where ADA bottomed out against Bitcoin back then. Sorry if you guys are bored at this. I just wanted to remember here. So if we look at ADA Bitcoin, yeah, I mean, you bottomed in September of 19. You bottomed in September of 19 here. So theoretically, if you have a good bag of a diversified portfolio of some good altcoins, that would have been the DCA period. You know what I mean? August, September of 19, all the way till, March of 2020. And I think it's going to be somewhat similar here. I mean, obviously it did come back down here, made a higher high there. But, I mean, I would start DCA, don't convert everything over, it depends how much, risk you want to take. But I mean, if you look at this period, I think this was the main DCA period. And I think we're almost there. You know what I mean? I think we're almost there. I think, hopefully you would want it to make it a higher high. Hopefully this area, you know what I mean? For Cardano, for example, to potentially make a higher high. Once you get down to kind of this area, these areas, that's going to be prime real estate to DCA in. Maybe August. August is kind of the earliest I'm looking. Obviously, a little bit subject to change here, but yeah. I mean, to Bitcoin dominance, I'm looking for this to start coming into the green here. See this area? This was the pocket. This was the main pocket to potentially start DCAing into alts for the next bull run. So I think we're getting close. Maybe just a few more months to come into the green. That August, September. That's where I'm thinking. That's where I'm potentially thinking. Hopefully by then, I mean, technical target at 60. If you're not a Bitcoin maxi, you would obviously want this to make a lower low. You'd want this to top out at 60 or below. You probably wouldn't want this to get up to 70 here. I think at minimum, we're going to get up to like 55, 53, this traffic right here. I think we're going to hit this traffic right here at minimum. And I think that's the time when I'm going to start to DCA into alts a little bit, maybe start to DCA into alts, start to convert some Bitcoin over to alts. That's what I'm looking to do here. Obviously, it depends what your risk level is, how much risk you want to take. So yeah. And then if we look at also the, let's just take a quick look at the Dixie right here. Not going to talk too much about it. You got a green dot in the 10-day that confirms in, 11 days here. I mean, I think you could see, potentially that you could see another leg up for this. I mean, you could see another, especially if the S&P comes down to, the lows of last year, you'd probably see this come here, especially if Bitcoin comes down the next few months as well. This area, I think at the most we could see this come up to 128. This is a major pocket right here. When would that happen? That could be middle to late 2024. I mean, if we crash quickly, in traditional markets and crypto, this could be early or maybe early 2024 potentially. Don't forget, this could keep going up even after. There's been times where this keeps going up even after markets bottom, so keep that in mind. But it does seem very likely to at least get up to 114 here. If you look at Coinbase stock, that follows Bitcoin. I've been looking at this. Blood diamond confirmed on the 2-week. Not too much data on this. Weekly doesn't look that bad. Aside from the gap to RSIs, this could easily just come back down and do that, and then you're back down to these areas. But if you get onto like the daily here, you got a trigger wave to the downside. I'm not too bullish on Coinbase at the moment. We'll see. Typically it follows Bitcoin. I think we're going to be headed back down to these areas. There's like some fib level or something I found over here. 23 could be a big point. That would be down about 60% from where we are right now. That's kind of the lowest I could see this going, maybe a $6 billion market cap or something. That's going to be a really good buy place. And that would coincide with a lot of trajectories for a bottom towards the end of the year for Coinbase. Now, if you look at total two, I've been keeping my eye on this because it hit a big fib level right here, very similar to August 22 right here. And if you look at that, that would bring us right back down to where we were. But if you look at kind of what we did back here, when we topped out here with the gap to RSIs, I don't really count the pandemic for that, but that is not much traffic. I mean, you hit some traffic 300. These areas do seem potentially likely because I think ETH and alts are going to get hit hard, against Bitcoin over. I mean, when's this trajectory? Until October. Yeah, I mean, if you start DCAing to ETH a little bit earlier, maybe start DCAing to ETH here, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I mean, we're not trying to find the exact bottoms or, exact tops here. It's more of about a DCA strategy. So that's what I'm looking at there. Total 3 looks, terrible. Probably as bad as possible here. I mean, very similar to that area. If you were to, repeat this as I've drawn out, here would be your trajectory down about 54%. You got to target from this, parallel channel, reverse head and shoulders down here. I know reverse head and shoulders is normally bullish, but it can break out bearish, which I think it will. Around 200 billion. I think that could be another good place to start DCing into alts. When would we hit that? I mean, if we have a big drop down next few months, I mean, you could see that pretty soon if we have a big crash down. You could see that relatively soon. I mean, right here, the April, May of 21, this is where Doge peaked out. Bam, right down. Right here is where Shiba peaked out. Bam, right down. So if you repeat one of these, I just want to see where you could end up here. 200, you could get there. That may be the time to start to DCA into altcoins, around the August. August is the earliest. August to April could be that period that I've been mapping out. So that's what I'm looking at right there. Anyway, guys, that's all I got. If you're interested in the premium Discord, check out the link down below for some exclusive TH, trade entries, long-term, short-term, all that type of stuff. We do stocks too as well. Have a really good community, so check that out. If you want one free month in the community, sign up to any of the links down below to the exchanges and deposit at least $200. And I'll shoot me a DM on Discord after with your UID. And I'll give you one free month in the exclusive Discord, so check that out. And also, if you want a really good beginner trading course with a lot of really good strategies that a lot of people really like, check out evanaldo.com. Link down below with the discount code down below as well. All right, guys, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and have a good one.